Let's now talk to Giorgio Cafiero. He's the CEO and founder of Gulf State Analytics and a professor at Georgetown University. Mr. Cafiero, welcome to the program. This is a very sensitive matter. This is a very crucial time for both Israel and Iran. We do understand that the White House says that U.S. President Donald Trump has spoken to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. But who can really pacify the situation at this moment?
Thank you. Great to be on your network. You know, it's a lot easier to start a war than it is to decisively end the war on terms that are favorable for your side. I think that at this point, there is no single state that is in control of this situation. And that certainly includes Israel, and that includes Iran. I am not optimistic about de-escalation. I think we might be at the beginning of a war that carries on for quite a bit of time. I think that there will be certain actors, such as Russia, Qatar, maybe some others, who might try to play some mediation roles to try to de-escalate, find ways to open up dialogue through some back channels. But just to repeat, I am not optimistic about this conflict winding down anytime soon. I think mindful of what the Israelis did in Tehran and other parts of Iran on Friday morning, I think it's really clear that the Iranian leadership is determined to make Israel suffer. The Iranian leadership wants revenge, not de-escalation right now. And I think obviously on the Israeli side, there is a determination to really weaken Iran and to try to make Iran suffer a lot too. These are two states that are very, very heavily armed. There's a lot of domestic support on both sides for continuing this war. So I think this conflict, like I said, it could drag on for quite a while and result in a lot of death and destruction as it's going on.
Professor Cafiero, let's talk about the dynamics of this new-found war, because we do understand that Israel targeted nuclear facilities in Iran, and this was going on amidst the negotiations between Iran and the United States. Let's start with the talks. How far do you think America will go to actually continue or progress with the talks amidst this war?
There seems to be a certain thinking among Trump administration officials that as a result of Israel's hundreds of strikes on Iran, that this is somehow going to bring the Iranians back to the negotiating table, and it's going to result in Tehran being willing to make more concessions to the United States. I think that that's a ridiculous way to understand what's going on right now. I think, to the contrary, Iran is not going to come back to negotiate with the Americans on the nuclear issue. There's growing support in Iran for developing a nuclear weapon. That is a really important point to keep in mind. I just simply do not think the Iranian leadership has much incentive to come back and negotiate with the United States. To be frank with you, for the foreseeable future, I think U.S.-Iran diplomacy is dead.
Professor Cafiero, let's talk about what Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says. He says that Israel's ongoing military campaign is not only aimed at neutralizing Iran's nuclear and missile capabilities, we are still talking about the dynamics of this war, but also at supporting the Iranian people's aspirations for freedom. What do you think he means by that?
Well, Netanyahu and those around him want to see the Islamic Republic fall. They want to see regime change in Iran, and I believe from their perspective, the current conflict is an opportunity to make that happen. That language from Netanyahu is aimed at deepening the division between the Iranian government and segments of Iranian society that do not support their government. And I think here, the actions that Israel's government has been taking the past 24 hours or so can really backfire. And I think we need to consider the real possibility of this aggression against Iran resulting in the government in Tehran being able to rally more supports and to rally Iranians behind the flag, including those who are not necessarily very supportive of the Islamic Republic.
Professor Cafiero, how much do you think the U.S. is involved in this war? Because there are some critics who say that Trump took the bait.
There are different theories about what the Trump administration had been intending all along. There are many analysts now who are very convinced that this was sort of fake diplomacy, camouflage diplomacy, if you will, where the U.S. was trying to get Iran to sort of soften up a little bit and to try to catch Iran off guard. But the whole entire time, according to this theory, the Trump administration was completely aligned with Israel and very much wanted Israel to carry out the attacks that took place on Friday morning. There is another theory that Trump genuinely wanted to pursue the path of diplomacy with Tehran, genuinely wanted a new nuclear deal with the Iranians, and that Netanyahu completely sabotaged his diplomatic efforts. All sort of wait to see some concrete evidence, obtain some more facts before stating, which theory is really the explanation of what actually happened. It's a bit unclear, but what we can say, though, is that it's very difficult to imagine Israel carrying out these strikes without a green light or at least some sort of a yellow light from Washington. I think that's pretty safe to conclude.
Let's talk about that yellow light, because I'm just curious. When President Trump says that he was informed about the strikes way before they happened, that's when Israel struck Iran, how much of an impact do you think that statement will be going forward?
Well, from Tehran's perspective, the United States is completely complicit in this aggression against Iran. And the IRGC and Iranian leadership have made that clear. So even if there has been an effort on the part of Marco Rubio and other officials to really emphasize that this was a unilateral action taken by Israel and that the U.S. is coming to Israel's defense as the country is dealing with Iran's counter strikes and Iran's retaliation, there's no denying that from the Iranian perspective, this is really an American-Israeli operation or American-Israeli war on Iran. They, on the Iranian side, they will not see this as simply an Israeli action taken unilaterally. And this is obviously bringing us back to the topic about any prospects for American-Iranian diplomacy. This is a point that we really need to keep in mind.
Professor Cafiero, stay with me. We have some breaking news coming in from Israel, and Israel Defense Forces has put out a post on X showing how Israelis are currently running for shelter in northern Israel as sirens sound due to another missile launch from Iran. Alerts have been activated in several areas of Israel following the detection of missiles launched from Iran. The IDF said in a post on X, the post said the Israeli Air Force was working to intercept and attack wherever necessary to eliminate the threat. It also urged the public to follow the instructions of Home Front Command as the defense is not hermetic. Once again, this is breaking news from Israel, and the IDF has put out a post on X showing how Israelis are currently running for shelter in northern Israel as sirens sound due to another missile launch from Iran. Alerts have been activated in several areas of Israel following the detection of missiles launched from Iran. The IDF said in a recent post on X, the post said the Israeli Air Force was working to intercept and attack wherever necessary to eliminate the threat. It also urged the public to follow the instructions of Home Front Command as the defense is not hermetic. Professor Cafiero, Iran says that whatever country supports Israel, they will be met with the same force as Israel. Your comments, briefly.
Well, Iran wants to see to it that Arab countries in the neighborhood do not play any role in undermining Iran's counterattacks and the retaliatory attacks waged by Tehran. Iran wants to, if you will, sort of intimidate countries into the neighborhood into either, if not outright supporting Iran, at least staying out of it. But, you know, there are some Arab states that have normalized relations with Israel, such as Jordan, or some that have kind of de facto and unofficial relations with Israel. And based on some of the experiences from the attacks and counterattacks in April and October 2024, Iran is certainly sensitive to the fact that some of these Arab states played a role in helping Israel defend itself. And this is something that the Iranians are certainly sensitive to.
Mm-hmm. Professor Cafiero, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for talking to WION World is One today.
Thank you. Good to be with you.